Hello, thank you for joining us. My name is Maria Hoenigman, Director of Support and Outreach for NAMI Greater San Antonio. Gracias por estar aquí. We're going to start with a trailer to one of our presentations called Compartiendo Esperanza, and it's just an opportunity to how to start a conversation with families. So we're going to go ahead and start with that, and then we'll introduce our speakers, and we'll go from there.
Compartieron esperanza. Es interesante esa palabra.
One second, I'm sorry. He told me the trick. Escape.
Palabra. Es lo que
I did it earlier, I promise.
You don't just make it bigger?
No, it didn't work.
Do you have to drag it?
He's coming to help. It's still launched.
Yeah.
Do I close it?
Yeah, close up that, and then it should bring back up the desktop so you can actually see the video.
Yes.
Compartieron esperanza. Es interesante esa palabra. Es lo que tú debes de hacer como ser humano.
Lo primero que me vino a la mente cuando oí Compartiendo Esperanza fue como volver a las raíces. Así que es importante recordar eso y recordar quiénes somos, porque puede ser fácil sentirse desesperanzado, puede ser fácil sentir que las cosas están en mi contra y que esto no va a funcionar, y estas son todas las razones por las que no funcionará.
Hace poco participé en una conversación entre latinos sobre el término Latinx. Quiero ser capaz de identificarme porque pareciera más que quiere saber qué soy en vez de quién soy. Eso afecta a nuestra salud mental.
Creo que cuando se trata de algunos de tus compañeros de clase y de algunos de los estudiantes que conocemos, personalmente la razón por la que ellos no piden ayuda o sienten que no pueden hacerlo es por miedo.
Porque tienes esa idea que puedes hacerlo solo, no necesito ayuda, realmente fue necesario que tocara a fondo y realmente no tengo a nadie a quien necesito ayuda.
¿Cómo puedes lidiar con estar en esa situación? Como cuando tú eres el que necesita ayuda.
No puedo lidiar con eso. Rara vez dejo que la gente me ayude.
Tú piensas que tú estás solo, pero no estás. Tú estás en un planeta lleno de seres humanos.
Sé que tienes a tu mamá y a tu hermano, yo estaré ahí para ti. Y no voy a ocupar el lugar de tu papá. Nunca lo haría. Ese es su honor.
Y recordar quiénes somos y recordar a nuestros jóvenes quiénes son y quiénes han sido sus padres y abuelos. Se trata simplemente de asegurarse de que no olviden eso, ¿verdad?
Comparte esperanza. Y ese puede ser el estado de este mundo. Todo se puede cambiar con compartiendo esperanza. Porque tú tienes el poder con una palabra. Y a veces eso es todo lo que necesita.
There we go. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a conversation through an activity. Ms. Norma Quintero and Ms. Stephanie Quintero will be talking a little bit about like what the stigmas are, why our families aren't having these conversations. about mental health. And like right now, I feel like we're at that cusp where we want to be offering our familias, we want to be telling them, you know, you need to get support, you need to get help. But the hardest part is just having those conversations. I think like that was the most difficult part for my family. So they're going to share an activity and talk about statistics that exist right now. And then we'll go from there and have a conversation. Sounds good? You all got Post-its when you came in, so they'll talk about that activity.
Thank you.
Good morning. Buenos días. ¿Hay alguien que quiere que sea español? Does somebody need me to be bilingual to be, or can we go all English? ¿Todos entienden inglés? ¿No? ¿Sí? Ok. Entonces vamos a entrar. Gracias por estar aquí. Thank you for being here. Pero voy a compartir con ustedes mi, bueno, aquí lo van a escuchar. You're gonna hear this here. So my personal experience with mental illness. And let me stop again. I want to ask you for forgiveness if I have to stop because I forgot my glasses. So that's why I have my light up here to help me a little bit. But my personal experience with mental illness. I have a distant memory as a child of seeing a loved one in a psychiatrist's office. This visit was never discussed then or now. Sometimes I question myself whether it's real or just my imagination. I had those thoughts since my childhood and growing up. I didn't realize the reality of mental illness until very late in my life, barely 5 years ago. It hit me like a ton of bricks on August 2018 at the annual NAMI Pathways to Hope conference here in San Antonio, Texas. You see, my culture didn't make it any easier for me to know about mental illness. It's something you don't talk about. Porque la ropa sucia se lava en casa. Dirty clothes, dirty laundry is washed at home. You don't air it out or make it public. And if you do, you're literally just crazy. As I think back on my family and my friends from my childhood to now, I know many could have been helped. Their lives could have been easier. Their outcomes in life could have been very different. Some would still be alive today if we had been educated on this subject. Mental illness, mental health is literally a life or death reality. And although you might be physically alive, sometimes inside you're dying. But there is hope. This conference, rightly named, it is literally a pathway to hope. The NAMI organization saved me, and it can save you and those you love also. With this, I'm going to let Stephanie come and introduce herself.
Hello, good morning. I'm Stephanie, as you heard. So I didn't write my whole bio out, not a bio, but my experience. I kind of just wanted to wing it and for it to flow naturally. I just wrote the first part. So like it says, my name is Stephanie and I'm a 32-year-old single mother of 3. They're all 10 and under. Back a few years ago, I would have said that I had a pretty normal childhood. If you asked me today, I'd say that normal was my own personal normal, right? Because we all have our own normal, right? It's different for all of us. Because that's what I was used to. As I grew up and went through my life experiences, I realized that I never prioritized mental health. I never understood depression or anxiety, stuff like that, until after the last separation from my ex-husband. So a little bit about my experience. Like I said, how kind of piggybacking off of what she was saying, mental health hasn't really been talked about, right, up until recently. And so I didn't grow up seeing people go to counseling and stuff like that. We didn't do that back then, right? So I used to be a little bit of my personal experience with my ex-husband. He had a lot of mental illness, and I wasn't used to dealing with. He had, all of it, like depression, PTSD, anxiety, and he didn't want to get help. So it was a part of why we, that led to that separation. But I remember there was times where he wouldn't go out with us, like the kids. We would go to the park, he would stay in the car, or he would stay home. He was always at home. He couldn't get out of bed. And I never understood it, and it was so annoying to me. I'm like, dude, just get up. You can get up and just move, right? But I didn't realize till later, after my separation, like I said, that all of those years that I was with him, and not just because of him, right? Because of life experiences that happen to all of us. I was depressed, and I never understood that before. And I realized it, and it sucks. You know, like depression sucks, right? And I'm really grateful just that I got to experience both parts of that, you know, like from a person that doesn't understand it, that kind of, I don't want to say talks down on it, but you don't understand the severity of it, right? Like, and I'm grateful that, not that, you know, I got that little depression thing, but I am because it was a huge experience, and it was it was a big part of my life, you know, that needed to happen for me. And so now I kind of have a little bit of, I do a whole different perspective on, you know, both sides. So, yeah. So we're gonna do a little exercise. If everyone has 3 stickies, does everyone have 3 stickies? Okay. I don't know, where are they? Oh. And this is just a little, it's not, I mean, we'll just see how it is. Y'all will see. On those stickies, does everyone have a pen or something to write with? Yeah? Oh, I lost it, Mom. Oh, here it is. Okay. So can y'all hear me in the back? On one of your sticky notes, I want you to write something that's valuable to you, but like money-wise, like a car or a vehicle, a cell phone, something like that, something that you value that's worth money. That's the first one. Are you doing it? Just kidding. Oh, okay. On the second one, y'all can write a name of a loved one.
What's the second one? What was the first one?
So something that you value, like money-wise.
Okay. Money-wise?
Money-wise, yes.
That's a value. That's monetary value.
Yeah. Like a car or a cell phone, a computer, something like that. The second one is a name of a loved one.
Value? The name of a loved one you value?
Yeah, loved one. And then the third one is something that's valuable to you, but that doesn't have monetary value, value, like family or your kids or your husband, a relationship, something like that.
So the third one is something you value that you can't put money on, right? You can't put a price on it.
Okay, so I'll read it out of the book. The third one is write down your belonging that has little monetary value but has significant personal value or meaning to you. Like a keepsake, a scrapbook, something like that. Did y'all understand the first two?
So the last one is like something tangible? Is the last one where you could say like marriage or?
Yeah. Yes.
Family?
Keepsakes.
Like pictures of memories, stuff like that, something like that. So the first one, the name of that was the second one. The name of a loved one, and then write down a personal belonging of significant monetary value to you. And then the last one, a belonging that has little monetary value but has significant personal value or meaning to you.
And on number 2, the loved one, is that like a loved one we really value, right? Because we have a lot of loved ones. So
Right,
don't just
like
pick a name.
like your child or aunt or something, yeah, someone that's
Really
meaningful to you.
Right. Important. How do I get up?
And only, just take 3 things away from like one person. You can take 1, 2, yeah.
She's going around just picking up
Randomly, random.
real random, just. She's gonna go just picking up one of your stickies. Bless you. Bless you. Or salud.
Do you need to see them? I'm not gonna read them all. You can read them.
I can't see.
So do y'all know what was taken from you, right? Like what they took from you? So now, okay, that's good. You can still- Okay, so now imagine that you had just gone through a natural disaster. Imagine your community had been impacted, and the items that just were removed from you represent what was lost. So this is just a little exercise. I'm gonna read some of them. I won't mention names or anything if there's names on here. Somebody lost their home. Somebody lost their phone. Your education, okay. I don't know what this is. A car, a ring, family, and a Liam. So this is just a little exercise just so y'all can just kind of, well, I'm sure y'all do, but just always remember that everyone has their own personal trauma, like everyone is going through something. Like I know every single one of you are struggling in some way, right, mentally. And when I first did this exercise with a small group at my church, a few of them cried because one of them lost their marriage. One of them lost all their kids, So it's just like a little, just a reminder, that mental health is very important, right? And we can always help someone or go get help. And I'm glad that we're having this whole workshop today because, like I said, it's recently talked about, right? A lot more than it was in the past. And literally, lives could have been saved, right? Because people are, take their own life and because they don't want to reach out, because there's no one to help, right? Like they don't want to talk about things. And especially even kids now, like little kids. My daughter's 9 and she's going through her stuff too right now. And she's 9. I can't imagine being her age, and going through the stuff that she deals with. So just a little reminder that, or encouragement, go get help if you need help. There's always someone to talk to. Reach out. There's so many resources that y'all will learn about. In our next workshop, they're gonna share resources with you guys, so that can be available for y'all.
And we have 3 minutes.
3 minutes? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we're going to start wrapping up, but I'm going to read some statistics. But what we loved about this exercise, I don't know if y'all understood it or not, but things like this happen every day, right? You have your family today. You left your house this morning, leaving your house in place, leaving your family, your pet, whatever, right? But you never know what's going to happen throughout the day. You never know what you're going to face. You never know if there's going to be a natural catastrophe, if there's going to be an accident. And everybody, we all go through life things every day, right? And it affects us. And growing up, and even as an adult already, as a mother, I didn't realize that we all have bouts of depression in our life. We all have panic, anxiety, and fears. And recently in talking to my husband, because my husband is from Mexico, he's a native from Mexico, and when I would talk to him about, because we're pastors, we've been pastors on the west side for 17 years, when I would discuss, or a family would come, or a couple, or an individual to seek counseling from us and prayer, and they would discuss some stuff afterwards, intimately with me, he would say, you know, like, man, are like, what's happening? Are they like kind of going kind of a little crazy? Or I'm like, it's not crazy. And he's like, well, they said that they need you to like resource them out to a therapist or a counselor. Like, but we do that because we're going a little local, right? I was like, no, I said, that's not it. So we had a little sabbatical away, just me and him, and we started talking about life. And at the end of that week together, and he said, well, I guess you're right. We've all had bouts of depression in our life. We've all had moments of anxiety and panic in our life because it's just not never talked about. So we're in a journey together. We're grateful that Pathways to Hope has included, for the last 3 years at least, a Spanish coming from the Latino culture and also a faith-based culture. So we are happy for that. And we just wanted to bring awareness to you. And I know that you're here, so you're already very aware of it. But we don't think about things that we could lose just any moment. And we have to realize that the person next to you, the person that's acting mean and rude at work all day on a certain day, you just don't know what the world looks like. And we have to remember that, right? We have to remember that we've been there, they might be there, and how can we be supportive towards each other, and what kind of resources can we offer? So in our next session at 1:30, Olga and Maria are going to be bringing a lot of resources, tangible resources that you can take with you for yourself, for family, or friends that you might know, to your churches, for anything.
We still have 30 minutes.
What? Oh, I kind of hurried up.
I know, that's okay.
Oh.
We can share as well.
Okay. Well, let me share some of these statistics that I tried to look up how many, you can go Google anything nowadays, but I said, how many people do we lose to mental health illness every day? And actually, I couldn't get nothing current, but in 2015, which was a big number for me, because this is pre-pandemic, so it multiplied. But in 2015, 8 million people in the United States lost their life due to mental health illness. That's crazy. And right now, currently, 46% of US adults are suffering with mental health. That's a lot. More than 1 out of 5, so I don't know how they worded that. More than 1 out of 5, 1.5, I don't know, of our kids under 14 are dealing with serious bouts of mental health illness, with depression, with anxiety. Our kids are committing suicide younger and younger because they don't know how to deal with all the pressures and the stress that come on through bullying, through family crisis, through survival mode, and that's the way out. So we need to continue to rally for mental health support. As a pastor, if you are a person of faith, I encourage you to go to your pastor, to your leader, and say, hey, we need this. It's available. There are a lot of resources out there available that will come and equip and train your church to bring in awareness in Spanish, in English. I know of a church that has a mental health ministry in Congolese, Burmese, and I don't know what other. They have like 4 different languages. They're bringing this resource, this aid to people in their congregation, and lots of people are being helped. Because honestly, growing up, I'm a person who comes from an evangelical background, Pentecostal. So if anybody said they were hearing voices or they couldn't pray the depression out of you, well, there's a demon. We got to rebuke that demon out of you, right? And no, now, like I told you, very late in my life, I came to realize it's a disease, it's a sickness, it's an illness that many times, sometimes with medication, you can be at peace. You can have a very fulfilling, prosperous life, but we need to get help. And because of stigmas, and people may be like, oh, they're going to look down on me. Who cares? We have to get past that too, guys. Like, what are people going to say? Who cares what people are going to say? They're not living your life. They're not going through what you're going through. You get the help you need. You help those that you love. Get the help that they need, because nowadays there's a lot more available out there. My first Pathways to Hope conference in 2018, thank you, Olga, because she made me come. She's like, you got to go. I already signed you up. I was like, oh my God. I was like, fine. I was like, what am I going to go do there? Right? Like, what? Mental health? Seriously? Come on, let me pray for some people. Honestly, that was my mentality because we didn't talk about it growing up. We didn't that was no, right? So when I came and they did the first session, it was amazing. The lady that shared via video, and then breakout session, I was like, you know, what am I going to go to? And back then we had a booklet where you could see all the names of the sessions. And I was like, okay, well, here's an interesting one. I was like, there was going to be a priest and a woman pastor talking. I said, okay, I'll go to that one. I can relate to them, right? So I go there and they're talking about their day-to-day and how they're helping their parishioners and how they're having like kind of counseling sessions with them, just someone to talk to, someone to listen to them, right? And then as they were closing out their session, they're like, and at 5 o'clock, we turn off the light, we lock up the office, and we go home. I was like, okay, I guess we're done. And then the priest says, but I go home to have to deal with my severe depression and with my anxiety and my PTSD. And I was like, what? And then the pastor's like, oh, she's going to be good in my head, right? She's like, yeah, I have to go home and deal with my bipolar and my depression and my anxiety. After having helped all these people all day, that's what I go home to. And I was like blown away. I was like, what in the world? And so I got interested, right? I was like, well, let me go to this next session. This one looks good. And I was getting informed and educated. And that's what our people need. That's what our family needs. That's what our churches need, our communities, they need this help. So with that, I'll open if anybody has a comment, or you don't have to say maybe a question, but if you have a comment you'd like to share, we are open to that right now.
Don't be shy, we're amongst family here.
Along those lines that talk about sharing, we have these neighbors that we're real close to, and they're Christians as well. And the other day, my wife came home, it's like about a couple months ago, and it's like, she had this joy about her, and I said, what's up? She says, I shared. She finally told him about her journey with her son. And so, yeah, because you keep it to yourself, and now we're telling people because it's fact of life. It really is. And we're grateful that we're learning.
Yes. It's life-saving.
Yes.
It literally, it is life-saving.
It is.
Because people, they're afraid to talk about it, so they have all that inside, and it makes you sick physically and mentally. Oh my gosh. You know, during COVID and right after COVID, several people from our church went through it. They got COVID, right? And oh my God, I was so overwhelmed as a pastor with people needing to talk to me more than usual. And we have one case that was very, very severe. This poor sister from our church, she would have the ambulance at her house 3-4 times a week because she felt like she was dying. She felt like she was having a heart attack. And they would come, and each time they came, her vitals were perfect, everything. They checked everything out. She went to the emergency room lots of times. You're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. She's like, there has to be something wrong with me. Like, I feel like my chest is going to explode. And they told her, you're having anxiety attacks. Mm-hmm. And she's a mother of 7 children. Her husband doesn't back her up a lot on a lot of things. He's very macho kind of thinking. And we discovered, I said, hey, you know what? We need to talk. Because I'm like, this lady's going into depression, like deep depression. She's having panic attacks and just talking. But I'm saying like she'd be there 2-3 hours with me. And it would be repetitive, the same conversation several times a week. Sometimes it was so overwhelming to me, I would tell my daughter, I need you to take this call right now. Right now, my mental health, I'm like, I need you to help me. And it was because there's so much need, and they weren't taught that. Several times I opened my home because she lives in a very tiny house, 1 bedroom, 1 living room, and I mean small rooms. And I said, you know what? Today before we talk, I just want you to come and rest. And I had my son had recently moved out. His bedroom was clean and ready. I said, I just need you to rest. Just come in here, lay down. And she would just look at me like I was crazy. I said, just lay down. We're going to talk when you wake up. I put on some sleeping wave music for her. And then I put some worship music. And she lay there and she slept for like 3 or 4 hours. And when she woke up, she comes out and she's like, Pastor. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, well, I feel really good now. And I said, well, let's talk. Well, we don't need to talk today. They said, we'll talk another day. She was like, I just can't believe what that rest did for me. They said, like, uninterrupted, no children yelling, mommy, mommy, right? So just lend a hearing ear is what I can tell you. But also, as much as we can, it's amazing that this conference is completely free. It's free. And there are so many resources available. We just started a mental health ministry in our church, and my daughter's directing that. And there is so much need. We're in the inner city of San Antonio, and all our community, our foot traffic daily are your prostitutes, we have drug addicts, all of that. They come and talk to us. They just need somebody to hear them. You know, it's been more than a couple, pre-pandemic. In the summer, every month we would have a luncheon, and we made really fancy invitations, and we called it for Our Ladies of Guadalupe, because it's Guadalupe Street, and it was actually for our prostitutes, right? Well, not our, but it's very common in our area. We're right in the middle of it. When the church started 107 years ago, it was more family-oriented community, but now that's the reality of where we're at, right? And we put on there, we want to bring you for a free luncheon. There's going to be giveaways, just coming out of heat for lunchtime, right? Well, a lot of them came. They were coming every month. It was getting bigger every month. And some of them, I don't even know what they call them nowadays. The guys that, well, we used to call them pimps, you know pimp.
Yes.
I don't want to insult anybody. They would come to the door and they're like, well, if I go in, if she goes in, I have to go in. And if I can't go in with her, she's not going. I said, well, I'm sorry, she can't come in then. But if you'd like, you're more than welcome. I'll bring you a chair outside, and I'll bring you some food too. But it's just women in here, not even people from the church. It's all women. And one of them, fine. And then another one came, and the same thing, right? But these ladies, we were feeding them, and one of them finally spoke up, I guess, like among the group, because they all know each other. And she's like, why are y'all doing this? And we're like, well, because it's really hot outside, and in here it's really cold with our AC when it used to work. I said, in here it's really cold and nice. I said, we just want to bring you in for a nice meal. I mean, it was everything. We had salad, we had veggies, we had the protein part, we had dessert for them, and then we had little bags with wipies and all kinds of stuff that they could use, right? And once they saw that, the second month came around, they came back, and by themselves, they started sharing their stories. By themselves. One lady said, it's so easy for people to judge us. And I'm like, yeah, Lee, I'm sorry for that. Lee, I think I've done that too. Lee, I'm so sorry. And she's like, but you know why I'm out here? I lost my kids 3 times already to CPS. And we got them back. She was married. And she's like, me and my husband. I was like, oh. And she's like, we just got them back. And they told us this is the last straw. If we can't keep a house in order and stuff for our kids, we're going to lose them forever. So my husband works in the day, and this is all I know how to do, so I do it by night. And I was like, oh my God, she's doing this to save her kids. So her kids won't end up in the system. And she's like, but I was raped as a child by an uncle. And they all have a story. They all have a story, and they just need somebody to talk to. Yeah. Everybody that has any type of mental illness, they just need somebody to hear them out. But sometimes they need someone to point them in the right direction. Mm-hmm. So that's who we are, or you might be in that place where you need somebody to hear you out. There's resources out there on the tables for free counseling, free therapy. Take advantage of that. If not for you, for your neighbor, for someone that you know. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how are we with time?
We're doing good.
We're good?
Yeah.
We're done?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there any more questions or comments? Thank you for your comments, sir. Thank you so much. Any other questions or you want to share? Somebody just needs to share. Sharing is freedom also. Anyone? No?
Me.
You? Okay.
I just want to say that I love this whole movement right now. I love people in general, even if I don't know you, I love people, I love to serve. And as she was saying, you would be surprised what just talking to one person will do. It's a huge thing. So I just want to encourage you guys to be a listening ear and be kind, and also, like she said, if you need anyone to talk to, find someone, please, because it's super important. And I mean, I have personal friends that, took their life because of stuff, that they went through. And it's sad, and it makes me emotional just thinking about it, right? But like, it's real. And I just want to encourage y'all to just seek help and become aware of it and share, so that way we could spread the movement more, around the whole city. And like, I mean, it's a thing, it's normal now, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Sorry.
What I wanted to share is that the reason for Compartiendo Esperanza, the reason we showed that trailer is because we do have like modules that we do out in the community that we're going to be doing out in the community. And it's about just starting the conversations. So a lot of times we're like, ¿dónde están los recursos en español? Where are the resources? What can we do? But we need some of us to come and step up and actually do the work and be able to be those people, those translators, be those people that are going to be there to support our communities. And I think with Compartiendo Esperanza, it's that opportunity to bring people together. You all are trusted individuals out in the community already, and you have your clients, you have the people you work with in your caseloads that are ready to, they just need a, how are you today? Like, do you need something? They just need somebody to invite them to the table to become leaders and to do these conversations out in the community. So like, that's something that we're gonna be doing. And I think like last year was very powerful because we had a room packed and we had an opportunity to share our own stories. And like, it was life-changing for me, like to be able to do that. Like it changed like even my personality. It changed it was an opportunity because once everybody, when I started at NAMI, they were like, what's your story? They didn't ask me what my degree was. They didn't ask me how many languages I speak. Nobody asked anything. They were like, what's your story? And I was like, you know what? I don't know what my story is because I didn't even know, I would do Spanish interviews and I didn't even know how to say the depresión, ansiedad, like I didn't even know how to use the Spanish terminology. So, because we wouldn't talk about it. My mom was like, ay, mija, lávate la cara and ve al trabajo, right? Like I remember losing one of my coworkers and I called her crying and I'm like, Mom, like the person I supervised, she passed away all of a sudden. And she's like, hi, mija. She was very kind. She's a very kind woman. But she was like, mija, lávate la cara and regresa al trabajo. I'm like, but I want to go home. I need to go mourn and grieve. And she was like, pero tienes que trabajar. You have to work. So and then I remember calling my boss and I'm like, I wanted to hear something else. And I called my boss and he's like, go home. Go home. And that was like just giving permission to our community to be able to
Have that conversation.
go home and grieve, go home and feel. So like I came from that background where we didn't talk about it. My dad was like, está llorando los niños, que se callen. Like, I don't know what to do. Like his anxiety and stuff, and just discovering as an adult that my mom had anxiety, but now I have the privilege to teach. Like, I like that you're here and that you're giving us your perspective, but I have the opportunity to teach my children the language. They know the words, the terminology. They know like, Mom, I'm anxious. Mom, I'm feeling this way. Knowing their bodies, and then teaching my parents too. And it's different. Like they know the words so we're very lucky that we're here. You all are already taking steps to be in a conference to learn about mental health. Now we have that job to go out into the community, to go out to our families and do that ripple effect and teach our parents and teach our children. So thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much.
Sorry.
And we have some statistics up here, but I want to share this too. Every year, there are 60 million visits to primary care and ERs because of mental health. 60 million, that's a lot. And amongst Latinos, there's only 22% of Hispanic and Latino Americans reported with mental illness. That does not include all the undiagnosed. All the people who are told, I was told, no seas chiflada. Get up and do your chores. Get over here. So what's wrong with you? ¿Por qué estás llorando? Why are you crying? Right? Oh my gosh. And that brought even more pressure and more stress, right? But now we're at a point, and that's what this means, this undiagnosed, those taboos that are put on us as children growing up from generation to generation. But thank God again for resources that are available, right? We thank God for that. But I just want to encourage you, and I want to challenge you. If you go to church, even if you don't go to church, and there's a church close to you where you live, go and talk to them. Hey, do you have something in place for mental health help? Do y'all offer any type of service or ministry? And maybe you can be a champion for that. And later they're going to tell you that you can become a wellness champion, which is training and all kinds of stuff with different kinds of mental health challenges that.
Director back there, shout out. No,
yes, my director's back there. She'll be sharing also in some sessions. Pero yes, any more questions, comments? Yes, ma'am.
Y'all come out, make connection with the church and
Yes.
have like training and so forth?
The answer
Yes,
is
they
yes.
do all that. Yes, ma'am. They do all
Just
that.
come and see us at the table, please. You can get
And if you can,
we
come
have
back to the
Lydia's card.
session at 1:30, because they're gonna have actual papers and stuff that you can take with you with all types of
Yeah,
resources.
1:30, we're going to have a panel, just to sneak peek. Here's
Right
one
here.
of our panelists right here, not
Sir
putting him
Oscar
on the spot.
Garcia.
But we're going to have a panel of people that have actually taken our signature programs and why did I take it? What gave me that courage? Because it takes a lot of courage to speak up, and it takes a lot of courage for Norma, Stephanie, Olga, for all of us to share. Imagine the people that are going through a very difficult situation.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have a panel of people that have taken our signature programs, that are teaching them, that are facilitating our support groups. But it just doesn't end with NAMI. The good thing, not to give a plug, but that's where we meet people where the barriers are, where you don't have to be diagnosed to get help.
That's right.
It's free, in person or virtual. So we want to make sure it's accessible, and maybe one day they'll come with pride and say, hey, guess what? Not with pride, but yes, with pride. I was diagnosed, I went to a psychiatrist, and I'm going to my therapist and I'm getting help. That's where we want to get to.
Yes.
So we'll have that, and we'll have a sheet that you could take away. We know we all like takeaways, something that we could tangibly use. We'll have a resource sheet that y'all could take in English and Spanish. And then we'll have our number for our warm line that will guide you to wherever the answers we don't have, we guide you. So we do come and do presentations. We could come do them at your organizations, and
they come for free. Everything's free.
Absolutely.
So y'all need to take advantage of that. Okay.
Real quick, I just wanted to say, I didn't get to introduce myself. I'm Olga Rodriguez. I'm the Director of Education with NAMI. So you see me, I've taken, again, Brown, we see that and we hear about all the different barriers that we face, right? Well, even in my family, I had to deal with family members that had or have a mental health condition. But again, also with the faith, that doesn't get talked about, 36 years in the ministry, and having just a conversation with my father. My father's 80 years old, and just when I started working at NAMI, he was able to open up about his own trauma. 80 years old, but again, because we don't talk about it. Those are those barriers that we have in our culture. So again, thank you. Thank you for being here present. And again, we just want to start opening those conversations with our community, with our culture, with our people. We really want that. So thank you.
And the resources we're going to offer, just to let you all know, because it's not just, these resources are vetted. The people have done, our warm line team has done the research. So they've called, it's the right number. You know how we go to places and we get research and it's like, you have to call this other extension. You have to call. So if you want to get these resources, we're only giving them, we don't have them at the table. If you want to get these resources, you have to come to our presentation. Just letting you know. Just saying. Just the sheet. But if you want research, yes, please call the warm line 734-3349, but just a sheet.
I just want to say, I was a part of the steering committee that got together throughout the whole year to plan this conference, all of it, right? And this conversation right now falls under faith-based and also cultural. And so if you don't mind, with your permission, can I close with prayer? Okay, so if you'll just close your eyes. Lord, I thank you so much for your love and mercy. Te doy tantas gracias, Señor, por tu amor y tu misericordia. And thank you that you have us standing till now. Gracias que nos tienes de pie hasta este momento. Gracias por este evento. Thank you for this event. Por todos los recursos, todo el esfuerzo que se ha puesto en ellos, Señor. For all the resources and the effort and the work that's been put into it, Lord. We're all here because we are either facing something or have a loved one that's going through something mentally. Estamos aquí porque todos tenemos un ser amado o nosotros estamos pasando por algún tipo de cosa mental que quizás aún no está diagnosticado. It might not even be diagnosed yet. Pero en esta mañana yo oro por paz y tranquilidad para nuestra mente, nuestro cuerpo. I pray, Lord, for peace and calm and rest in our mind and in our bodies, Father God, and que podamos ver tu mano de poder en nuestra vida y en nuestra familia, that we would see your hand of power in our life and in our family, Father, y que seamos de bendición al llevar estos recursos a aquellos que tanto los necesitan, that we may be a blessing to take these resources out to those who need it so desperately, Father God. Thank you for opportunities like this. Gracias por oportunidades como esta, Señor, y por todas las personas en sesiones que no se les está pagando, Señor. Lo hacen porque reconocen que hay una gran necesidad de ayudar a nuestra ciudad. Thank you for all the people sharing in different sessions, Lord. They are doing it out of their own will, for free, because they understand the need in our city and in our communities. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.